All right. Welcome to a live edition of How's That Logical with special guest Rena Goldman. Hi, Rena.
Hey, Jayson.
All right, let me check the sound now because I'm not. I didn't do anything. So, say hey, Jayson again.
Hey, Jayson.
Perfect. Yes, we're right. We're pretty much in line with a volume. Okay. So we decided that we wanted to talk about the madness that's going on with Hasan Piker buying a house with the money that he earned.
Yes.
We've been wanting
Yeah.
to do a live show anyway, and she said, "Do you want to do that?" And I said, "Yes, I don't care what the subject is." Pretty much. Um, but I've been looking into it, and it's pretty insane, actually. People are nuts. Is that
So,
too quick?
yeah, done. Stream over.
See you later.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating, debate, right? That's going on that like shouldn't really be a debate. There's also, of course, a lot of hypocrisy, as always. And I think things to unpack about the way that people attach themselves to like different media personalities, which now include streamers, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, they're the new rock stars.
yeah. Um, so I think, and so there is actually a Fox News segment, article and segment on it, which I found really interesting. The fact that they are covering, that Hasan Piker purchased a house in West Hollywood.
That's
Um,
crazy. I don't.
yeah, it's like so that made Fox News, which is also interesting. And funny enough, I learned that Hasan is basically my neighbor. Not that I have a $3 million home in West Hollywood, but I do live in West Hollywood.
Ah,
Yeah, so I can speak to like the prices,
so West
at,
Hollywood's big then, I guess.
yeah, I mean, Los Angeles is big in general. I mean, I'm kind of, surprised I haven't run into him at some point just because it's big, but it's small, like at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
we probably just don't frequent the same spaces. But yeah, I didn't even know that he lived in the area. Um, but yeah, so do we want to share this Fox News?
Yeah. How do you want to share it? Do you want to do it on yours and then share screen, or
Yeah, I can share screen.
it's probably the best way to do it because when I share screen, um, well, when I play a video, you won't be able to see it live because we're on Zoom. But if you share the screen, then we'll both be able to see it, and you have control over pausing it.
Well, so this is just an article
Oh, okay.
that I found,
Oh,
but I
then
mean, we can
you don't
still.
have to show it if you don't want. You can just
So, yeah, I guess I could just read it, but
either way, it's fine.
yeah. So Fox News, so the headline is Socialist commentator Hasan Piker faces backlash for buying $2.7 million home in Hollywood. And then the deck is, it's just flat out unethical to be profiting off of socialism, one user said.
He's not. Well, wow. There's so many things wrong with that. I mean, so many things I find odd about it. Um, First of all, no one ever said you couldn't make a lot of money with socialism. I don't think anybody's ever said that, except people that complain that you shouldn't make money with socialism. Um, I think what people that are into socialism mean is you shouldn't make so much money that it's just absolutely insane while there are people that are not able to eat and have houses over their head and clothing. I think that's the thing about socialism that's good. But you can have wealthier people. That's just going to happen. I don't know. I don't think I think people think socialism is communism.
Yeah, I
I
mean, and
don't
I
get it
was
really.
also looking at like, some polling. on how like public opinion has shifted. And,
Mhm.
in some cases, people think it means like complete government control,
Yeah.
of
No.
everything. So I think there's also, so I'm looking at a Gallup, opinion poll from 2020, right? The Americans' reaction to the
Mhm.
word socialism. And, like it's, um, there's no agreement, on what socialism means. So
Yeah.
that's interesting, as well.
Checking sound. Well, I think that the whole point of to have a really good system that a country can work under is to not have 100% of anything. Um,
Yeah.
it seems like socialism has some really great points when it comes to helping people. Um, and I don't know if communism fits in at all. Maybe the best parts of communism are the best are some parts of socialism, but it's I don't think communism really works very well as far as uh, as far as my little model I'm making up. Um, and capitalism kind of goes along with socialism as long as everybody has food, health care, and a place to stay and clothing, basic needs that make somebody feel safe, healthy, happy, secure, and able to go out there and work and make and do things that they want to do that make life better for everyone.
Yeah, right. And you can still have rich people,
Yeah.
but also, have people's basic needs met, and I think like
Yeah.
the issue is when people are making money hand over fist by exploiting workers, and others.
Right.
And so that's a not at all the issue, like, that with people like Hasan, or even like Jimmy Dore, who's also been recently flagged for having a home, like any of these media figures,
Yeah.
where people are like, oh, um, they have this nice home, and you're like, okay, but they're not like they're commentators, they're entertainers, or what, like
Yeah.
people are paying them because they like what they have to say, or they like, they're learning from them, they like their perspective. They're not exploiting people in a warehouse, like where they can clearly be paying them livable wages. And so it's interesting to see people make that comparison, right? To say like, oh well, you can't make a lot of money and still have these ideals. It's like, no, you can, and you can say, I'm going to pay my fair share of taxes, right?
Yeah. That's a
And
pretty big deal.
contribute. Yeah, like because I know that benefits everybody. And I would wager to say that somebody like Hasan, he's an independent contractor, so he probably does get hit, with some pretty heavy taxes.
Mhm.
Like I know that from being an independent contractor, as well. So I'm sure he's not skating them, like these big.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
clear it's out there in the open what he's doing. He's streaming live and Twitch is obviously a huge source of income for him and they keep track of everything. So I don't think you can just
Yeah.
hide that.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
what I
So,
think he would want to try to be honest.
I mean, even like I work for a media company, and then I, also will periodically do freelance, and things on the side. And, I have to pay quarterly estimated taxes, and like they hit you, when you're an independent contractor. And, so I'm sure that he's probably in the same boat, in that regard.
Just a
Uh,
bigger boat.
yeah, it's just he just pays more. Yeah, he pays more than I. And and in all honesty, like what it looks like out here in West Hollywood, like I thought, just for a hoot, let's see if I can buy a house in West Hollywood. And it's funny because I was looking into that before this all happened.
Mhm.
And so, I was kind of checking out the market, checking out prices. And it's insane out here.
Mm.
Like one bedroom condos go for like 500,000 or more.
Yeah.
And
And it's
and
really bad now in particular.
yeah,
The interest rates are really
yeah,
low, so housing is up and stuff. At least I think
yeah,
that's how it works.
and I mean, also you've got like BlackRock and these big firms buying up
Right.
houses too. There are a lot of places even around here. As I was looking there, I came across a few listings where it's like own 1/7 of this house, and so I was trying to figure out what that even is, right? Like, so there are these
So they
large,
can rent it, basically.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but then it says this is not an investment, and I'm like, is this a buy a house as a timeshare type situation?
You get it 1/7 of the year.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, because it said very clearly, like, this is not, an investment, but like own part of this. So
Hmm.
to the best of my knowledge, is like based
Not
on
an
that list.
investment.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find some of
Well, I
them.
mean, technically, I guess if they're not renting it out, then I guess it might not be considered an investment because I guess owning a house isn't considered by business people to be an investment. It's considered a liability because
Mm-hmm.
you don't own it unless you purchase it. I guess you have to be making money off something for it to be to be an investment or an asset, really. Or I can't remember exactly how the guy put it, but basically he said if you buy a house and you owe a mortgage, it's not considered income. Even if you're renting it out because, or sorry, not income. It's not considered an asset because or an investment because you're not you owe money and the bank can take it away from you if you do, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
considered really. I don't know. Maybe I should go back and watch it. But basically, I was looking into this stuff
Yeah.
about making money, passive income, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things they said was, yeah, rent owning your house is not considered an investment, basically.
Yeah,
But
here I'm gonna really hope that the cat walking behind here doesn't derail
oh, that's
my
fine. It's
camera.
it's
But
2021. Cats screw up streams all the time.
like if I get lost, that's why. Uh, but yeah, like I'll screen share. So I'm gonna show a search. So can you see that Zillow?
Yes, I can. I'm just going to
Yes.
change it to side by side. Oh, nice.
So
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, so quick search here. So this is West Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the housing prices. And if you look here, like these are two beds. Oh, that one's not bad actually. Yeah, I mean they're, you know, like and actually look at here's a 4 million and 5 million. So, if he got 2 million for what, 5 bedrooms,
You got a dump.
then like, yeah, I mean, either, which is possible, honestly. Out here, a lot of them are, oh, it's a fixer upper. But here, 500,000, over 500,000, here's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 797 square feet. That's a condo.
Oh wow. 525.
So
Jesus.
yeah, I mean, it's like everything is it's all relative, right? To the area. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
these are
totally about
crazy.
where the area.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
and this
god.
one's, yeah,
It
you
must
get
be
you
so
get an
hard to
extra.
move there.
So, and then what's even crazy, like, the condo fees are crazy too. So you've got like a lot of them have like $400 condo fees on top of this.
Oh my. Well, I'm sorry. If you can afford that, you're probably not sweating the condo fees. Unless you're an
Yeah.
idiot and you just spend all your money on the house. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But then like if you crunch your numbers, and like you figure like 20% down, and then I mean you've got to be um to be able to afford some of these things, you've probably got to be in the 300 400K annual salary range, like at least.
Yeah, it's super interesting to me. There seems to be something that I'm trying to figure out what exactly what I'm trying to figure out. But basically, it seems like if you live in a place like this, you can pretty much sell your house and move anywhere in the world. But everywhere in the world can't sell their house. Not everywhere, but all the places that are much like for instance, if we sold our house, we could move to pretty much anywhere in the South and have a really nice house and have half the money left over to do stuff with. But
Mm-hmm.
people in the South, in our same way of or I guess what would be considered how you live, your means, like whether what you spend on food and stuff like that. Like they couldn't sell their house and move to Vermont at
Mm-hmm.
all. So I mean, it really has to do with obviously the market for sure. Because we're actually thinking about that moving to the South, even though I never want to move to the South. But it just
Oh,
seems like
like where South?
South Carolina or something like.
Yeah, a lot of people go because of the price, because people will sell and you can afford more
Yeah,
house
especially
there.
right now because of COVID. Vermont houses are just insane. So you can, it's like the seller's market up here. And even expensive houses in South Carolina are half that of up here. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but like the thing that about Hasan though with his buying the house, the thing I never really understood why people get upset is because like if you're a warrior for trying to help people that can't help themselves or people that are starving or children that are starving for God's sake, um, and then you write a book on it, and then that book sells really really well, and you become a millionaire because of it. Does that now mean that you suck? I mean, honestly, that does. And what if you do something crazy like buy a house? It doesn't make sense to me that people freak out over that stuff. I,
It seems to be the a lot of the rhetoric, today, especially. And I mean, it might be because there are a lot of people hurting, and so I mean, it's
yeah,
understandable to be upset, and frustrated, right? If you are hurting and,
sure,
and you're
of
seeing
course.
all that, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with, somebody writing a book or being a entertainer or media figure or, putting in the work.
Yeah,
And I mean, part of these equations, right, it's part hard work and it's part luck, and that's with everything, right? Like there are
yeah,
huge amounts of inequities in this society, and there are, a lot of people that just get shut out from certain opportunities.
right.
And and that's terrible and needs to be fixed and addressed. But I mean, in Hasan's case, it was kind of the perfect storm of, he had an initial connection, in Jank. It was able to build himself up, but then he did put in that hard work
Yeah,
to, I mean, I think he was streaming for just hours upon
yeah.
hours.
Let's define hard work.
Well, I
Um,
mean,
he was lucky enough to be single or have a girlfriend that allows him to stream all the time, and he had a little bit of a name from being on TYT. Um, I honestly have watched the show a few times, and it's even difficult for me to call it a show, because I literally don't understand what the big deal is. Because honestly, I guess it's his opinion, and that he doesn't care what he says. Like I guess, um, I suppose. But I mean, I swear to God, every time I turn it on, he's just eating and watching and something. And I'm not saying that he sucks. I'm just saying it's not my thing. Like I did enjoy the his interview when he was on Breaking Points with Sagar and Crystal, but
yeah, I saw
I
that.
think that
And I
was
guess you're right.
their
Like, I'm
show.
not an avid watcher of it. Like I read the article in the New York Times, and it's like, so I've
Yeah,
followed him. I've seen him on TYT, but I'm not an avid viewer of his Twitch streams. So that is a fair point, I guess, in that, like, how challenging is it to come up with content, and what is the content?
I mean, if I were single and lived alone, I'd be streaming all the time. I just would. And it would be easy to do. I would just go to work, come home, stream until I went to bed, and then someday, if it ever got to a point, I would quit my job and I would stream more. I just would, and I wouldn't consider it really work. Editing's work if he edits his videos, but I assume by now he has someone to edit. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter because I don't think you can define how much money you make by whether or not you worked hard. If you have a product, in which I guess his show is a product, then he
Mm-hmm.
deserves the money. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with him making money about with it. And it'd also really be stupid if he didn't spend his money. So I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, he's created a brand, and yeah, and obviously people are paying, to interact with
Yeah.
that brand.
And also, if you have somebody that's fighting for the left or socialism or any kind of and any of those talking points or anything like that, and they become so famous that they actually start to be able to move legislation and get the word out and other people hear it, why would you want to start over now that that person has money and has power and has some pull in the world? Why are you attacking them? Do you want to start over again with somebody that's not known? Is that what you want? Do you want them to stay not known forever, or do you want them to just give away their money? Like, where's the logic there? I'm trying to figure out what the point is, or is it just jealousy? It's the only thing I can think of is it's just jealousy.
Yeah, I mean, and jealousy is a real emotion, right? And
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I feel
How
like
you
it's
handle it though.
fair. Like, I feel like it's fair for people to be like, yeah, I'm jealous. I mean, like, would I love to be able to buy a home in West Hollywood? Yeah, like, um,
Yeah. And
uh,
also, you don't know if maybe he gives to charities. I mean, it really just doesn't. I really just struggled to understand this when you text this to me earlier about people are upset that he bought. Like when I found out that Jimmy Dore bought a house, a $2 million house or whatever, I was like, makes sense. He's probably making a lot of money, and I moved on with my day. Um,
yeah,
that was about it. Um, I mean, when he goes after people like Nancy Pelosi, like, oh, she's a $200 million 200 millionaire. Um, he's making the point that, and she's not fighting for legislation that helps the younger the people that aren't as well off. He obviously is constantly on his show fighting for people that don't have very much, and he's rich. It's different, I mean that's just different.
I also think it's interesting because people have really closely linked, these commentators, journalists, or people like with the political figures, and it's like they're commentators. They are, some of them are journalists, some of them are, curators, commentators. But oh, cat. Um, um, they he's so distracting and so tiny. Um, yeah, so but yeah, I mean, now I totally lost my train of thought
Commentators.
with the cat. But oh yeah, I think people like you could see it. They expect, I think, more, than more from these people,
But what do they
where
want?
yeah, that's also the thing that's not really defined, right? It's like I think that people are looking at, like all of these left commentators or journalists and thinking like, oh, they can fix the problems, right? But like
Maybe.
you know, they can't. I mean, they can raise awareness, they can educate, they can, you know, um, boost issues. Some of them organize, as well, and bring people together, but I mean, these people are not our saviors either, and I think like that people are overly critical. It's like, well, how dare they, buy this thing, they're a traitor to the cause, or, this, but it's like at the end of the day, like this is how these people make their income, like this is their job,
Yeah, it
you know,
literally
like
makes no
this
sense.
is how they make a living, you know, like I don't know why we thought that was otherwise. And that's okay. You know, like there's nothing wrong with them making their living, you know,
Well,
that way.
it would be different though if it would be different if on his show he advocated for everyone to stay poor. That would then make sense if
Yeah.
suddenly he bought a house. Then he'd be like, "Hey, wait a minute, you've been telling us to stay poor. Now you're just getting rich and buying a house? That's fine. That's not what he's doing." That actually would make sense. I wouldn't understand the show at all, but I would at least understand the outrage. Like when Bernie Sanders wrote a book and finally made his first $1 million at 100,000 years old, he he's never advocated for everyone to stay poor. He's advocating for everyone to do better and get more resources to become a happier and healthier person, not to stay poor. So it's not weird when he sells a book, gets $1 million, and decides to buy a moderate house. Everybody calls it a mansion. It's a $600,000 house on Lake Champlain. That's not a mansion. just
You can, hey, you
just so
can
you
get a
know,
condo for that in West Hollywood.
it's a nice house, but it's not a mansion at all. Um, and it's so funny. They also say he's driving around in his whatever car they say he's driving around. I'm like, no, I see him. He drives around in this like hybrid, like little two-door thing. That's like, it's him and his wife. It's very amusing, but no, he doesn't have a Tesla or Lamborghini. But it doesn't matter if he wanted one and he could afford it. Get one. Who
Yeah.
cares? That'd be funny actually. But but yeah, I don't understand. I think it's jealousy. I mean, I get jealous of things like that, but I try to collect myself and not act like an asshole.
Yeah,
I
I,
go,
I think that's the key, right? Like, so even like I saw that, you know, and like, you know, it's like, oh, must be nice to be able to afford a home in this neighborhood, right? But
yeah,
I didn't tweet that, you know, I mean, because I know that's my own, like, you know, like I wish I could, you know, yeah, I wish I could, you know, like have that money to be able to buy, because this, I love this neighborhood. It's walkable, you know, like it's a great neighborhood.
yeah,
You know, and so I'd like to have the best of both worlds, right? You know, be able to live in a neighborhood you like and also be able to afford the place. But, you know, the reality is for most people, you know, if they even can afford a home at all, you know, I mean, this is talking like fortunate people, um, you know, like you have to choose often between, you know, like the desirable area, you know, especially I think people that like to live in cities, you know,
hmm,
and like, and I guess this is, you know, maybe my like living in DC, um, you know, like DC and LA, like that coastal, you know,
right,
um, you know, so like if you're somebody that works, you know, gets employed there and you want to live in that space, a lot of people, you know, are like, yeah, I can't, I have to choose between where I want to work, where I want to live, and what is accessible to me, you know, from an affordability perspective. And like I think even Sagar has talked about that in like the DC Northern Virginia area, you know, about like renting a home and struggling to find one to buy, you know, that's in that area and in his price range. So I mean, I think to that extent, yeah, like you see something like that and you're like, oh, must be nice, you know. But again, like you're saying, you think about your reaction, right? Like that was my reaction in my head, not my
yeah,
reaction on Twitter, right?
yeah.
So
You become aware of the fact that it's a feeling that you're feeling. It's jealousy. But if you use your brain, you can your frontal lobe area, you can fight through that and realize, well, you know what? Good for him. I would do the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, if I was in the same, if I was fortunate enough to make that money stream, yeah, I would absolutely buy, and I would probably literally done the same thing, like bought in this neighborhood,
It
you
probably
know.
has to do with clicks too. I mean, if you're generally against Hassan's beliefs, or if you're more right wing and he's obviously left, you're going to want to say something like that so your video does well. Like you're not going to go, good for Hasan.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I wonder. Yeah, here, let me see if I can screen share. I'm very curious about like the tweet on Fox News.
Fox News did a tweet.
Yeah, so like they tweeted out, right? So here's the article. I'm curious in the comments sections. Yeah, interesting. Oh,
I can't believe you don't use dark mode.
how do I put it on dark mode?
It's under more, I think. And then a
Display.
display, I think. Yep. And then you can go dim or lights out.
Oh,
It's so much better.
now I can't decide. Dim, lights out. No, I think I'm gonna go lights out.
Great.
Ooh.
Now I can do a little how's that logical short on how to change from bright white to darker mode. But that
Yeah, so this is in it. Yeah, it seems like he's got some defenders, and here like you can tell some left wing slow news day. So yeah, but I do think it's really funny that that they actually took the time to cover it. Like somebody wrote a news brief on that, because that was a story.
well,
Um,
again, it's about clicks too. I mean, once you reach a level where you're well known. I saw like I was looking through his Twitter and one of them said it was from a year ago. Oh no, it was a video. It was from a year ago, and the Hasan's video. The title said, "Alex Jones did a video on me," which is probably like because about a year ago is when he first started to really take off. I mean, he's been pretty successful on Twitch, but about a year ago, I would say is when it really started to get into the ridiculous numbers. Because like I mean,
yeah.
he has like I think he has the record for the number 2 ever most people on a stream. AOC I believe holds the record with 750,000 people or something like that. And it was the same stream. They were playing Among Us, and he was at like
Oh yeah, I think
400
I
or
saw
something.
like a tiny bit
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, that's impressive. That's a lot of people. And he doesn't slow his chat down, which is really difficult. Like, there's a feature where you can slow it down so only subscribers can chat, and you can also slow it down more so they can only chat once every 3 minutes. And he has just I think everything off, so like 30,000 people on a normal streaming night just chatting like crazy, and it's and I'm just like, why not slow that down? But I guess it's the way he rolls because he does stop it and read random things for sure. But
So is his content primarily political? Because like I've seen a few
mm,
snippets here and there, but I'm not
it's
an
it's a
avid.
lot of things. I would say primarily political. Um, like for instance, if there was a election coming up, he would be on all day, 24 hours probably or more, just on. And it's got everything from him sitting there talking about it to I'll be right back and be gone for like 20 minutes because he went to go to the
Oh, and
bathroom or
he just leaves the stream.
oh yeah, and they're just
Oh,
chatting away, and or he'll bring back like this really messy pasta and just eat while we watch a video he put on the screen for us.
that sounds like it sounds like daycare or like when the substitute teacher rolls in the
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
that's
Sometimes he plays video games, but but yeah, I mean, like, I just can't. I mean, I would love to be in that situation where that's my job, and I can tell you
Yeah.
right now, I would buy things.
Of course.
I'm
Yeah.
positive of it, and
Yeah.
just being upfront right now.
Yeah. I mean, who would, yeah, I said I would buy a house if I was in that,
Yeah.
situation. I
Then
would
there's
travel.
Elon Musk who's selling all his houses so he can
But
live free or something, or minimalist. He just has a
oh
space
yeah.
program, which I would call the opposite of minimalist.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's okay. But whatever. That's cool. Um, but like back to that thing that we were talking about. The difference between someone like Hasan who's fighting for the underdogs, um, and when we complain, Jeff Bezos spends billions of dollars for 30 minutes in space. I don't remember what the numbers are, but it was something ridiculous. The difference is that Jeff Bezos has enough money to pay politicians to ensure that legislation makes it so that his company doesn't pay taxes, and those taxes would be
Mm.
going to helping people like his employees, who he probably should pay better, um, or at least pay his taxes so that those people can benefit in some other way. The point is that he's using his money to rig the system to benefit only him and his family or whoever he decides to. And that's where the problem lies with people like Jeff Bezos, is that he's like a supervillain.
Yeah, exactly. There's a very clear difference, right, between just being wealthy, right, and buying things for yourself
Yeah.
versus like buying influence and rigging a system so that other people don't have a chance,
Yeah.
to even get ahead, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like you're not saying that everybody's going to have an equal outcome, but like at least don't rig the system against, a large percentage
Or if you're going to
of
rig the
people.
system, we're going to try and stop you.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
people that like don't try to stop them and say, "Oh, you're just upset because they're rich and you just need to work hard, you're lazy." No, I'm aware of the fact that the system is rigged against me, not as much as other people, but it is still rigged against you. Like just wanting to buy um like one of the things that we would really like to do in our house is buy a condo in South Carolina and start and renting it out so we can have that thing called passive income. That's this
Mm-hmm.
elusive unicorn that you really just already have to be rich to do that. Um,
Yeah.
I spent tons and tons of work trying to get my credit up. I got it up to, I think I'm up to mid 700s, which is, I thought was awesome. I spent a year just really working at it. But because of COVID, our income was lowered because of the fact that we weren't in our store anymore. Um, so now that I got my credit up, they said our income to debt ratio wasn't enough to get the
Uh,
loan. And I said, okay. However, this condo that we want to buy already has people renting in it. And it has a long history of an amazing track record of people renting it because it's in Hilton Head in South Carolina.
yes.
And also it's booked for like 6 months forward. So anything you think that I would have a problem with, if you just look at that and how much it's renting for, you'll see that alone will make it so that I can pay the mortgage because um, it's way more than the mortgage cost per month. It's like I think the whatever the profit is way above that. So it clears the bills and then some. And he
That
said,
is a great deal.
it is, isn't it?
Uh,
But
yeah.
he said the problem is your debt to income. And he said it again, and I was like, hold on a second. Do you see the numbers I sent you? It's clear. He's like, yes, it does sound good. However, the system is so that if you don't already have your debt to income ratio isn't already good enough to do it, then the loan simply can't go through because of the law, not because it's not like a thing where they're like will this work or will this not? It's actually a law. So if I already was making a lot of money, then I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
not fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also it's like, why aren't we considering all the variables in this equation? I can't stand that when you talk to like, people like what you're saying, where you just feel like gaslit and you're like, well, wait a minute. And then they just keep repeating the same thing over and
Oh
over again.
yeah.
And you're like, but logically, if you listen to me, like this thing that I'm saying
Yeah.
makes sense. And then they just repeat. Like I went through that when my internet went out,
Oh
like
yeah.
with like Spectrum, which happens periodically.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, so I lost, like it went out for 2 hours, just in the middle of a conference call that I was leading. I just disappeared and went dark. And like I was mad. And I was out for 2 hours. It came back for a blip. And then it went out again for another 2 hours. So I called and I was like, I want to credit. I lost 4 hours of work. And they're like, well, our system shows that you did not lose 4 consecutive hours of work. And I'm like, so because it didn't happen
No.
consecutively. And I was like, but do you understand that like 2 hours and then 2 hours, that equals 4 hours, which means like I couldn't do anything. I didn't have the internet. I literally lost 4 hours of work in a
Yeah.
day. And I'm paying you all, you know, and their rates have only gone up. And I'm like, so, and yeah, and the woman, she just kept repeating over and over again, like our system says, and we have to like, but yeah, it's like that same situation. Like, why is there no human element in it, or like no ability to consider
Yeah.
anything else?
That's exactly right. There is no human element. It's they have to really separate themselves. I had a very similar thing happen the other day with this company called something IQ. But anyways, I was getting my profit and loss thing together to try and do the to try to get a loan to do something else to invest in. And I was like, why am I paying $10.62 to what IQ? What is that? So I went on their website, and they're some kind of company that helps with your computer, like keep it
Mm-hmm.
running right. So immediately I'm like, what? I know enough about computers. There's no
Yeah.
way. What? Why did I start this? So I got on chat with somebody there, and they said, well, what we do is we make sure that you have all the right drivers, and you have and everything's running really really well, and we have 24-hour 7-day a week tech support. And I said, everything that you just said, I can do myself probably better than most of the people that work at your stupid business. Why?
Did you say it like that, at your
I
stupid
took
business?
out stupid. I didn't say stupid, but I wanted to. I did later. I got a little worse, but so they sent me another thing over the chat that was just helpful links, and I said, "Is this a human being or a bot?" And the person wrote, "I am a human." So I wrote, "Please answer this equation: 5 + 5 equals," and they they wrote 10. I assure you, I am a person. I'm like, great. I just explained to you that I know how to do everything that you're telling me that you guys do for me, and you're telling me that I somehow signed up for this service. Something is wrong. And they're like, well, would you like 50% off for next month?
Oh my god.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was getting at. Like, I said, are you sure you're not a bot? Because if you are not a bot, you're not smart, or you're not reading what I'm writing you. I am taking the time to write these paragraphs. You should read them. What I said was, and I repeated it again, and they just said, I understand. Would you like to cancel? Or no, I'd said I wanted to cancel, because they would never say that. They said,
Yeah,
here's a
because
link
that's
on how
part
to
of the,
cancel.
yeah, like that's part of the training to whenever you call that, is like they try
Yeah.
to like just get you,
Yeah.
pin you into either signing up or doing the bear minimum. They're never going to say, oh, do you want to actually get like, because logically, if you said, hey, I know how to do all of this stuff, I don't need your service. It's like, yeah, would you like to yeah, we should
Yeah.
cancel that, but no
Obviously, there
company
was a
is gonna.
mistake. I don't know how I did it. I don't know why I would accidentally sign up for something like this. So I've been having problems with my WordPress. So I asked them, I said, by chance, do you guys do anything with WordPress? Because there might have been a point where I was looking into something and I accidentally signed up, gave you my credit card. Really bothers me that I either had some kind of weird brain aneurysm and signed up for tech support, or they somehow signed me up without me wanting them to. I mean, it's one of those two, because I wouldn't sign up for computer tech support for no reason.
They could have pulled it from something, maybe something else that, like, if you pay for website hosting or something, they could have said this is a bundle that comes from that or something.
Maybe in one of those times where when they're installing some software and you just keep going yes, 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 and one of them is sign up for this. Yes, that's probably, it could be something like that, but whatever. But yeah, I don't like when they don't listen and they just keep on sending you the same thing over and over and over again. That really, really bothers me.
So if I'm looking at Twitter right now, it says Hasan is trending in California.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, and it is really crazy to me that it's like that big of a deal,
it's
right?
slow news
like I showed you the housing prices, right? And like that is pretty reasonable, especially for a 5-bedroom. I'm like, man, like he got a good deal, like, and I'm like, can I get his realtor? Like, I don't know, maybe they can, maybe they can help me out, like while we're making magic, right? With like housing prices. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy to be, critical of somebody that like, this is their livelihood. This is their income, which is really interesting, like especially like lately now, with the left, it's like, you can't make any money for doing this, and you got like, even like the blowback that happens with like a journalists, and things, and it's like you can't make any money as a journalist either, or like you're not credible, it is almost like where the rhetoric is going. And it's like, people have to be able to make a living, and like, if you're good at your job, whether it's by developing a brand, a persona, or, like, or research, whatever it is, like, I mean, you deserve to get compensated for that. And it's also like, these things happen from like, right, subscribers, ads, and all of that. So I'm like, you people, like, you all are the ones that are, subscribing and saying like, I like this content, give me more of it. And like, that's why he's getting paid. So yeah, it's like, what is wrong? It's not like he cheated anybody or scammed or like set this.
No,
I mean, you get what you get. Like, if people want to like watch him eating lunch, like what you're saying, they want to watch him eating lunch or dinner, like that's kind of your choice, right? Like, that's the content you like.
I mean, he also talks a lot too. I'm just saying, I always catch him at dinner time, it seems like. I don't know why.
But yeah, I mean, I watched his segments when he was on TYT more. I think mainly just because like Twitch is sort of odd hours, and I spend most of my day on Zoom conference calls, so I'm like not inclined, to watch a lot of that.
So before
stuff.
COVID, did you do real calls, or what? Did you already implement Zoom into your life before COVID?
I was already working remote, before COVID. The only difference is like, I probably would have had to have gone to my office in San Francisco, or like one of the offices.
Oh, go to the office to work remotely?
No, not to work remotely, but to meet with different team members. But now my team is like so spread out that, like, it would cost more. You'd have to bring them from all over the place. But before, a lot of my team was in San Francisco. So, and it was funny because it was like right around the COVID, like just before everything hit, I went from LA to Mexico City for vacation. And then it was like a vacation and then a work trip tacked on to the end
Mm-hmm.
of it, which I will never do again. It was a terrible idea. So I went LA, Mexico City, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, and then back to
So,
LA.
did you say the office is in San Francisco?
Yes, one of them.
So you had to go from LA to San Francisco to go to your office? Isn't that like 4 hours or something?
It's like, I think like 45-minute flight or so. It's not a long flight
You had to
at all.
fly to your office? Is this every day? It's not every day.
No, this was only like if they had an event.
Oh, I
This
thought you
was
meant
like
this was your commute every day.
no,
Like,
this was
bye,
that
see
would
you
be
later.
I would not have taken that job. Yeah, I got to fly to my office every day. No, this
45.
was
Well, I
like,
mean, if you could afford a 45-minute flight, I guess it'd be fine. But it'd be kind of annoying.
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be annoying.
It's
But
pretty
yeah,
important
I
if
mean,
you bring
but
it
I
in from LA.
probably like because it's a short flight and it's not as expensive from LA to like they probably would have started having me come in a few more times,
Mm,
like rather than just these like rare like team
with a 4 hour
events.
Uber.
But I like, but I yeah, I missed it because then COVID hit
Yeah.
and yeah, and that was it. And it was like no more business travel. And I was like, yay.
It's like the opposite of most people.
So, well, I love travel. It's just travel and business travel are not, they're not the same thing.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
probably if I had like TSA pre-check or something, that would
Mhm.
be better because I have to shove two laptops, and then you got to take two laptops out, and it's like a whole thing, and I'm just like and I don't like to hold up the line because I don't want to be that person. So I'm trying to do it as efficiently as possible.
Right.
And yeah, it's a whole thing. But I was relieved that I didn't have to do a bunch of business travel because I'm fully digital. So, we
I'm
got
fully digital.
yeah, like we got Slack, we got Zoom, we got, I mean, I work as an editor, like everything that I need to do, is on the
I'm sure
computer.
a lot of people are saving money working from home. They probably aren't going to. A lot of people aren't going to switch back. I'm sure companies are probably like, "Wow, we don't need as big a space anymore."
Oh, so like Google, at least Google, and I think Facebook may be doing it too. They're actually cutting people's salaries, right, for like remote people that live in what they deem less expensive areas.
Oh, they're matching. They're getting putting their salaries to where, like, if you live in a place that has a lower like income, they lower your salary
Mm-hmm.
so that you're like them and where you live.
Yeah, and
Wow,
and so and
that's a,
yeah,
that's
so
a
they are cutting.
God.
Yeah, like so in Reuters, I knew I saw this somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's terrible. And then I was like, I hope my company doesn't do that. But then also, I'm like, I live in LA, so the cost of living is high, so they're probably not gonna slash it, like. But yeah, but so Google employees who work from home could lose money, and so because a lot of people that work digitally, they moved out of these expensive cities, and they're like, oh, hey, I can work remote, so I'll move somewhere that's more affordable and keep working remotely. And these companies are like, you know what? No,
You
you're
know,
making too much money. That's not fair.
it. I see how it sucks, and I also see the point. um, like I get both almost. I just feel like if you want to be a good company, you would just say, "No, we can't do that." Like a cool company or a company that I would like to.
Well, I mean, not only that, like a company that like wants to value and retain talent, right? Like, because how terrible of an experience is that? Like where because you're doing the
Yeah,
same level of work, right? You were once at one pay range, now you're like 10, 20% lower. Like, what is the incentive to
yeah. I don't think
continue?
they should change people's salaries. Maybe hire people differently if they want, I guess. But to actually change it,
Yeah, I mean, this
that's
is like not this is not
pay
people
cut.
that they're hiring, right? That are just
Oh yeah,
coming in. That
that's
makes
crazy.
sense. Okay, if you want to adjust it for cost of living in the region and you're hiring them and they're coming in,
Yeah.
like you can make that calculation. No, these are people that already, were working there. They had the salary. Like,
Oh my God.
so from this article, so one Google employee who asked not to be identified for fear of retaliation typically commutes to the Seattle office only from a nearby county and would likely see their pay cut by about 10% by working from home full time, according to estimates by the company's work location tool launched in June.
Okay, here's why that doesn't make sense. Because you used to live in you lived in that place before you started doing it from home. So now that you're
Mhm.
not going into the office, it can be argued that you're saving them money because you're not there. Like, I'm sure there's different insurance if you're working from home now. They don't have to worry about, like, I don't know, whatever it costs to have an employee on site. So nothing's changed except for they're saving you money by staying home, and then you cut their salary
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, so there, and also it's
That's
not like
ridiculous.
Google is losing money, right? It's not like, oh,
Right.
we've got the company's losing money, so we've got
Yeah,
to,
we have to hurry up and fix this.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean they're just saying like, oh, well, you're saving money from working from home. We can't have that. The company needs that money back. So yeah, I mean there's another like screenshots of Google's internal salary calculator seen by Reuters show that an employee living in Stamford, Connecticut, an hour from New York City by train, would be paid 15% less if she worked from home, while a colleague from the same office living in New York City would see no cut from working from home.
Seems like there should be a
And
law against that.
yeah, and then it's a screenshots showed 5% and 10% differences in the Seattle, Boston, and San Francisco areas. So I mean, this just sounds like like a power, a control move, whereas
Way
like
to
they just
way
want to
to make more
force
money.
people to be in the office, and they're like, well, we're either going to force you in or we're going to take the money. Either way, they win. Google gets what it
You
wants.
know, if I were king of the world, I would make it so companies, the people that work at companies can't the like the CEOs can't make over a percentage of the lowest paid employee.
Yeah.
That's what Costco does actually, and they decided to do that. The CEO is like the poorest CEO. I'm sure he gets bonuses too, but like doesn't he? He makes like a couple $100,000. Last I when I used to work there, it was something like $200,000 or $300,000, which is a lot of money. Um, I guess maybe not for LA. Um, but
No, that's you can afford a home money in LA.
yeah, all right.
That's like entry level, I
But
guess.
like they had a percentage that when he got a raise, everyone got a raise, because there was this thing. And and if you go to Costco, you'll see everyone is paid pretty damn well compared to other places, and all the employees are better than other employees. And it's the reason.
Yeah.
If you go into the local store here, Shaw's, it's just a bunch of teenagers that don't even know you're there because they're all making minimum wage, and they don't care about you, and they don't know what to do, and they're talking about Veronica talked to Michael at school today, and but if you go to Costco, everybody is right there, and you can demand better from them because you're paying them really well, giving them benefits and health care and all kinds of perks and stuff. And when you work there that if the CEO gets a raise, you will also. And it
Hmm.
just makes a better group, a group of people that are happier and healthier and more productive and just mentally better. um, Whereas,
Yeah.
like, you take Walmart, and they're just trying to cut as much as they possibly can from the employees so that they can make more billions at the top.
Hmm.
Why? Why do you need that? What is it for? Is it a sickness? Is this some kind of disease or something? Like, why do you? If I had $1 billion, I feel like I have made too much money, and I'm probably good.
You say that, but it's like I watched this documentary. I'm trying to remember, but like where they talk about like almost like the pathology, right? Of accumulating money, and it becomes like, and it changes you. Like it become
Yeah,
when you get to that level, and it becomes like addictive,
I assume it
almost. And
does.
then yeah, and then people just keep hoarding, more. Oh, well, I got to get to this level. I got to get to this level, and it's like, when is it enough? So like,
Hmm.
and I mean, I guess you can't guarantee that that'll happen to everyone, but there's probably a good. Now I got to remember what that documentary was.
I'm just trying to think of what I need after $1 billion that and I'm sorry, what I want after $1 billion. Like
Oh,
I don't think there's anything I want that I couldn't afford 10 times over. Like, you can only get so nice a computer.
a yacht that has another yacht on it, and a helicopter.
Okay. All right. 2
No,
billion.
I mean,
Stop
I
it.
don't want
I'll
that,
stop at
but
2 billion.
that's what.
I mean, that'd be neat, but I don't have this like need to have one. I've never cared to. I know my wife would like something that we can go on the ocean with, but I'm sure she would love that. I don't know. That's a lot of money. But okay, is 100 billion enough? Can we please stop there?
But I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, it's never not right. I mean, why would you continue? I mean, why continue? Right? Like after
I
that
just
point.
simply don't understand why when you get to be that rich that you're not just being like, geez, I could totally give away half of everything and help human beings that work for me that made me wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I would still be ridiculously wealthy. That just seems so obvious, and I do not think that I have the ability to become that corrupt or that corrupted.
I found it. Okay, this is maybe I'll play it. I don't know how long. I think this is the trailer, but it's called Generation Wealth, and it like, can I screen share and play it?
Yeah, if Zoom lets you, it's fine. I don't know how it'll all work, but I'm willing to try it.
Let's see. All right, see that? So, Generation Wealth.
Is that Lisa Kudrow? No.
No.
Okay.
No. So it's a portrait, from yeah, like the workaholic, image, materialistic, obsessed, culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it kind of shows how like people get addicted to this, like to like the workaholic lifestyle, and then like the, I need more, 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 like, so you can sort of see how someone might become Jeff Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not saying that any of that is
Jeffrey Bezos.
not saying any of that is okay or should be, like, but um let's see. Can you hear it?
Yep. Oh wait, it actually is really low. That's weird. So the sound's just going through your speakers.
The sound is too low.
Yeah, it's like going through your speakers rather than being played on the computer. So I just hear like it. I hear it like it's in the other room.
Oh,
Like if
well,
somebody were watching TV. That's
I
weird. That
guess
must be some kind of a thing that they do.
you can't play it on. Can you play it from yours?
Oh yeah, send me the link.
Let me stop. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, I found it like, it's really sad, but like it also kind of speaks to like how people can end up, just not getting enough. But I won't be able to hear it if you play it, right?
Um, I can turn it up though, so you'll be able to hear it at least a little bit. I'm just trying to make it work now.
I mean, I could mute, I guess, and also just so I remember it because it's been a while.
Oh yeah. I'll just press play at the same time as you. I'll tell you when. I'm just fixing it right now. Okay. Okay. Are you over the play button?
Yeah.
I'm not. Where is the play button? What? Why did I see a play button when you looked at it, when you had it?
Scroll down.
Oh. Oh, all right. Okay. So now I have to fix it again. Okay, I'm going to press play in 3, 2, 1. It's not playing sound. Oh wait.
I've been a photographer for 20.
Okay, we're going to start over. Okay. Ready?
Now I can't hear you when I'm playing it.
Okay, we're going to start over.
Okay.
First I want to fix this. I have everything set up for solo, so I'm readjusting things now. Which is fine. It just takes a little bit.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool if we could watch at the same time and then like talk. Oh, be.
Well, I have figured out how to do that. There's 2 ways. One way is that we have a third person that is not on screen, but they can share their screen. It's what the Majority Report does, and they just go pause, and the engineer just pauses their video. Let's see here. What was I just doing? Reset, transform. Aha. Okay. So now I'm just gonna make it in here, and then I'm gonna.
I want an engineer to.
Well, that's Lindsay. Lindsay wants to.
Yeah, let's enlist Lindsay to just be the engineer.
Yeah, she's into it totally. All right, we're starting at 0. Ready? 3. You're ready, right?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
If I want to work 100 hours a week and never see my family and die at an early age, that's my prerogative.
Money.
Money. Money. Money.
Money. I've been a photographer for 25 years, focused on the excesses of our culture.
I'm the record holder of the longest limousine in the world, with the swimming pool and a helicopter landing pad and a Boeing 727 jet limo.
I noticed no matter how much people had, they still wanted more.
The American dream, it's all about status.
I'm somebody you're not. I can afford this, you can't.
My wife and I sat down for dinner in the Mediterranean. There were plenty of boats, 30, 40, 50 million for sale. And I said, this one, this one, this one, or this one? My wife said, turn off your phone. That's all I want. Nice dinner.
This fictitious lifestyle, which we're all told that we can have, fuels this sense of inadequacy.
I realized wealth was much more than money. It was whatever gave us value.
I would love to see this fixed.
See my thighs fixed. My butt needs to be fixed. Do you think I'm a workaholic?
Yeah. I just kind of grew up with you not really being around. Are you okay?
On any journey, you sometimes have to go back and find your roots. I mean, major mistakes.
What you sold in this world is a bag of rotten goods. And it takes a long trip to come back to what matters.
I'd watch that. I'll probably watch it. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I watched it. It was really well done. But yeah, I mean, but it helps you like think about, like kind of get into the mind,
Did it make you
right, of
jealous
people
when
that
you were seeing people that were really rich?
did it. Those people did not make me jealous. Yeah, I was like, no, like, yeah, I think I don't have these great aspirations of wanting to have a yacht or wanting to have, I'm like, just a home in a neighborhood I like, like, but you need a lot of money you need like Hasan money, right, to do that. Um, but yeah, I think like that's also what's striking about it, right? Is like the man just bought a house in a neighborhood that he likes, that he wants to live in, and in order to do that, he had to rise to Twitch fame,
Hmm.
like to be able to make
Yeah.
enough money to do that in this neighborhood, like because just that's what it is.
Well, also, the generation. Well, I guess it's my generation, but the end of it is parents' wealth, and then parents' wealth before them, because like uh, when my family passed their money on, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to help out with doing things like putting a down payment on a house and stuff like that. Um, I can tell you right now that myself will not be able to do that for my children. And my dad, he had a similar help from his parents, or the parents above him. It wasn't his parents exactly, it was my mom's parents, but it seems to trickle down, but the well is getting lower and lower. So my generation, if you didn't get really lucky, you're probably not able to give money to help your children as much. And those kids, when they grow up, are going to have nothing to give, because the ability to create wealth is so much harder than it used to be. And
Yeah,
then
that loss of
if you're
like
minority,
generational wealth, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and if you're minority, you're super screwed because you never had that because of
And like,
redlining and
yeah, and most of the way, the like housing has been historically, the way that people accumulate and pass down generational wealth. Like, I mean, unless you are able to be an entrepreneur and have some kind, or an entertainer, or something like that, but mainly for the average person, yeah, it's housing. And yeah, and you're right, like the everything that has been done, like to people of color, and really harshly, to Black people in that arena, is people have just been completely shut out from even being able to accumulate that generational wealth.
yeah.
There's a really really good book on that called The Color of Law, that is just so informative but so sickening, at the same time, because it like makes the connection between state and federal laws, and like all of these different ways that people were shut out from the system. And sometimes even when like developers would try to make like multicultural communities, and like they weren't even allowed to get the loan, like it was just
Oh yeah.
like the lengths that were gone to systemically oppress people is just really not surprising in this country, but like really sickening, like when you unpack it, and like, and not stuff that you learn about in school, really, and like it's all stuff you
Oh God, no.
is like, if you don't have that lived experience, then you have to go and get that. You have to go
Right.
educate yourself, because no, it's just not going to be shared.
Yeah. It's quite depressing. um, like when you look back my dad used to talk about this all the time, like in the 50s. It's like, he used to he lived in Brooklyn, and his grandfather had a bar, but like, other fathers, because it's hard to make the correlation to his grandfather who he lived with. He didn't live with his parents, lived with his grandparents, who were right off the boat from Sicily. But his other friends who had fathers that were working, normal 9-to-5 job, they had enough to provide for the whole family. They had a car, possibly two. They had vacation money and college money, or I don't think college cost that much then either. But the point is that one 40-hour a week job, not killing yourself constantly, could provide for an entire family. And so now you need two people working to barely get by, and no extras. You don't get
and
to
sometimes
anything else.
two people working two jobs, in some cases,
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, even like my whole the whole time that I've been in the workforce, just about, with the exception of like being in high school and then also working, like I have worked multiple jobs, like there have been times where I had 4 jobs, and I mean, granted, some of them were like, it's like a couple freelance gigs, but still, like I would have to go to an event and cover it, and write, like, so it's all still time, like I once sold furniture, like I worked at a furniture sales place, I worked at an ad agency, and then I worked as a local journalist freelancing. And then I was also working for a healthcare company, and like 2 of those were freelance gigs, so it was, more flexible. And the other 2, the furniture store and the ad agency, I alternated days, and so I like worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And like most of my adult life, like has been that way. In order, like it's like at least 2 jobs, and even now, like I have 1 job, and then I have a couple contracts, that I do, and it's like, and it's crazy when you think back on it, like, so I'm like, what, it just seems like such a pipe dream, like just to work 1 40-hour a week job, and even like the job that I do is demanding, like often you have to do stuff on weekends and evenings, and like when you have meetings all day, then you gotta, still have to finish your work, so then you've got to do that in the evening. And like to me, I'm like, it would feel like a vacation just to have a 40-hour work week, and like weekends where you're actually off, like that would be like a dream, like. And the fact that like that's what it is like, it's just so sad, and like, and I'm very fortunate, in comparison to the situation that, most Americans are in right now. So it's like, I'm not complaining, because I am very fortunate. I do have a good amount of privilege, but it's like, even at this level, the amount of hours, and jobs and things that you have to cobble together to like make it is, it just makes you like, this country is ridiculous. Like this, like people shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, well, this country, a lot of people have been force-fed and brainwashed. Gotta work hard. You're not afraid to work. I used to have 2 jobs and 3 jobs, and they look at it like a badge of honor instead of you're getting screwed. I mean, really, when you hear about like some other countries that are like where people work, like in, I think it was France, they work, the morning, then they have like a 2-hour lunch or something stupid like that. And then, or more, because they have to go to the market and get fresh food and bring it home and cook it for the family and then eat it and then go back to work and then work for a few more hours. And it's like, oh, well, they don't have as much population as us or something. They'll say something like that. People will say something like that. I'm like, no, but they have the population that they have for them. And then we have the population that we have for us. You can't just say they have less. That everything is equal. There's people making money, going shopping, living, watching cable, getting iPhones over there, and we're doing the same stuff over here, driving cars. We just have more people doing it and more jobs. And I hate that argument when people say, oh, you can't judge them, it's a different population. They do the same stuff. I don't understand why people say things like that. It doesn't have anything to do with the population. If you have 100 people over on this island, they all have to do the same thing that these 1,000 people have to do on this island.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense when people say
We
that.
had like at my as part of my team, there are some team members in Iceland, and one team like so there's one on my team, and like she has like 1 million holidays, like just and we're all so jealous. We're like, can we go to Iceland? Can we get into these holidays? Like, 'cause it's like every other, it seems like every time you turn around, there's another holiday. And like, because the company has people in all different areas, you see like the days off, or like the national holidays, and like the US is one of the tinier ones. I think it's like the US and China.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but you're just like, really? Like, you can't give us some more days, like, and the other thing is like, people they're not productive when they're at like burnout level, like there's this false like, oh well, if we just work them more, we'll get more out of it. And like, no, you're gonna get less out of it.
Like, you get people that become bots that just do the bare minimum because they're so exhausted and burnt out, as opposed to people that are like excited to be at work and want to learn something, or take on a new task, or try to better something. You have people that are just like trying to just barely get throughs because they just can't take it anymore. And I don't understand why people celebrate that kind of life. I don't understand it at all. It's not lazy to say, hey, we're the richest country in the world, maybe we should have it a little easier. Just I don't know. I don't think that's being a lazy socialist. I just don't. And
so
also, I challenge anyone that thinks they work harder than me at the things that I've done in my life. Fuck off. I'll outwork you. I'll outwork anybody. Nope. Screw that.
I mean, I think we're probably, and I think a lot of the people that, get attracted to certain things are like, have that similar disposition. A lot of people in media, or working with nonprofits, or like there are certain arenas, I think you'll find people that have that same work, but because I find like a lot of my team members, like people will just work, they're like all incredibly dedicated, super hard worker, because they care about, if they're going to do something, they're going to do it well, they're going to do it, right. And I think like any kind of like writers, editors, artists, and video, film, as well. And you end up, that gets just as exploited as, people that show up to go to work at Amazon, or anywhere else. It's like seems like whatever you can do or want to do, like right now at this stage in this country is just deeply, exploited.
Yeah. I just don't understand why people don't want people they don't know to have an easier time. It almost seems like that's like the main problem. Like when Bernie wants to, he wanted to make it so that state colleges are free, like other public education, just like that. And people are like, oh, I pay it to pay my loan. I'm still paying it. Like, what are you, a selfish dick? Why did... So no one can have anything better ever because you had something that wasn't? Like, is that really who you are? I I don't. If I had to pay a loan down. It wasn't very much because my family helped out quite a bit for college. But if a total stranger's kid lives in a time now where there's no college tuition and they're going to the state college for free, I would be so happy for that person. You're so lucky. That's going to help you so much in life because you're not going to have this huge loan. Congratulations. Not. It's just
I know it's
person.
like why do you want to be vindictive, to a stranger? Like I was talking about this with my girlfriend that came. She came from cross country to visit, and we went on trip. We were hiking, and we were talking about this very thing. And she's like, I worked really, really hard, and I finally paid like the last $6,000, my student loan. She's like, I really like busted my ass to do that. And she's like, but she at the same time she's like, but I wouldn't begrudge anybody that has it, like for student loan forgiveness or free college. Like it's like, does it suck like what I had to do and pay all that? Yeah, but I wouldn't take that away from somebody else.
Yeah, we hope as time goes on that society gets better. Like, I don't get upset that we don't have lead in gasoline anymore. Because there was a short time in my life where lead was still in gasoline, I believe, or at least in my dad's. But you don't go, well, we couldn't be healthy like that. Or my dad used to use a kerosene heater in the center of our living room with no ventilation in the 80s. When we would start it up, it would go, and a little cloud of smoke would go up and hit the ceiling every time. Now they have ventilation. Now, am I going to complain that they get ventilation? That's ridiculous. They shouldn't have ventilation. I didn't have it. Why do they have it? It's the same thing.
That is a great comparison. Yeah, actually. Yeah. I mean, because it's evolution,
you hope things get better.
Form. So yeah, and you can still be mad about getting screwed yourself. It's like no one's taking that away from you.
100%.
No one's saying like, that you can't be pissed that you came in, and were dealt this shittier deal, right? But then like also don't take that out on the next generation, or somebody else that can benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to deal with a kerosene heater, and today's generation has shitty music. I think it's pretty even.
So I still have my Twitter screen up here, and I think I have to share this because this is a very like California, West Hollywood thing.
Okay.
To say. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Screen.
Oh, here it goes.
You see it. So I can't believe this shit has been trending for almost 24 hours now. People outside of California don't understand. A $3 million place in WeHo is likely just an old 3-bedroom house built in the 60s. My first thought was, wow, $3 million in LA. That's it. I don't care for Hasan, but good for him. Like, but I mean, that's so like, that's like exactly what people like. That's what people in this neighborhood are thinking. Like, even I was like, oh, that many bedrooms at that price? I'm like, can you share your realtor? Like, maybe, because clearly they can work miracles.
Yeah, that's but the thing is he does make a ton of money, and that's still okay.
Yeah,
he really does. I think the last time I looked at his Twitch when he was live, he had something like 20 or 30,000. I mean, I've seen it everywhere from 18 to 70,000 subscribers. It like I'm not sure about the 70, but it's a lot. And a subscriber pays $4.99 a month, and half of that goes to Twitch. So he's making $2.50 times 18 to 60,000 people a month. It's a lot. And then there's all the times he gets gifts with the bits and stuff. Not to mention his YouTube channel does pretty well, so he probably gets revenue. He's making a lot of money. He probably could have afforded a much bigger house if he wanted to, and I don't care. that he didn't, or
Yeah.
he would have. If he would have bought a $50 million house, if anything, that would make me go, well, I should really get on this Twitch streaming.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that's what I thought. I was like, maybe Jason and I should up our game, like so maybe I could buy a house,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm like I don't care about the, but I do find it fascinating, right? Like how people are just so like he shouldn't be able to do, like the outrage around
Yeah.
it is very interesting. And also the fact that it's like now trending, like it's got to trending level is like, is it
Yeah.
really that serious?
And I watched
And
what do you go? A breakdown of what he of his video when he announced his reaction to all these people getting pissed at him for buying a house, and he said, "I'm moving in my mother and my brother, and my I guess other family members, so." It's not even just like he's living in some house with like acres of land and
Mhm.
not even that's wrong. It's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, he it's just so ridiculous. It drives me crazy. I don't see why. Oh, whatever. Sour grapes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, also it's just a lot of it is like the whole like dialogue and anywhere on the internet has just devolved, so far that people are they're just nothing but outrage, over
Yeah.
anything and everything. And, it's not directed at the things that could measurably improve outcomes. It's just like, I'm mad because this is bad and everything's bad. And like, I'm just mad at everything. And, rather than like, focusing, it's like let's focus and be mad at like the systemic things that are these forces that are
There's no focusing, not for
at
more than
play.
a couple days. Everything
Yeah,
gets
and
forgotten, and we can
'cause
only do
there's
one thing at
also-
a time.
yeah you're right. You're right. Everything because of the algorithms and trend. We could talk, we can be mad about one thing at a time, and then we have to forget about that. And but I mean, even like in the grand scheme of it, like nobody should give a shit, about this guy buying a house, like he's a streamer who bought a house. Like this should not be even taking up the dialogue anywhere. But it is.
Yeah, well, it's a lack of understanding what socialism is, because people really do say socialism is communism all the time. Like, go read a book or a Google article, anything. You could look it up seriously on Google. The differences, there's big differences. So when they say, "Oh, this guy that likes socialism is now, able to afford a $2 million house," they're not understanding socialism at all.
Yeah, and I mean, according to these polls, people do not know what socialism really is. It always confuses me, right? Like with a lot of these people that are conversing on the internet, like they're on social media. So I'm like, clearly you have access to the internet, right? Like, so you could, in theory, like do some searching, like to get a little bit more informed on the things that you're yelling about.
Yeah. But then they wouldn't believe if it didn't follow what they'd already heard on whatever echo chamber they're listening to, which is something that I try not to do. Like, my YouTube channel, I subscribe to left and right. I have probably just as many right-wing people I subscribe to as I do left-wing. I don't necessarily always watch the right-wing. I might watch a little of it. But I try to get as much of both places, both sides as I can, because I am aware that the left often does the same thing as the right, where you just hear what they want you to hear. One of the best examples I have of that was when I cannot stand when the left says Trump said that there were good people on both sides during the that statue being ripped down. Because if you watch not that I don't like Trump, and he says a lot of shitty things, and you don't have to start making stuff up because he's got plenty of stuff. But this one thing, when I hear any left-wing person say this, I immediately go, man, you are part of the problem. Go look that up. What he said was, and if you watch the whole speech, it's cut down into it, so it makes it sound like he's saying even white supremacists, there's some good white supremacists, and there's some, and no, he actually made it a point to say, and I don't believe that he meant it, but he did say it. The white supremacists were bad, and he named all the people that were bad, and then he said, but there were some people there that weren't part of those groups, so there were good people on one side and good people on the other side. But the left just keep talking about how he just said that last thing. And if you're going to do that, you're going to wreck the whole movement, because now you're a lying dick. There's enough bad shit.
You're right. I agree. Like those sound bites that are taken out of context, and like, yeah, hypocrisy like does drive me crazy, like, so like on the left, when people they're angry about one thing, but then if somebody in their group does it, like, oh, it's okay, you know, but if somebody on the right does, I'm like, no, like, be angry about it, all together. Like, so
keep your side of the street clean.
And also, even like to the extent, because a lot of like, like the media that is, does skew left, like they won't fact check, or certain things. So like Trump will say crazy things about COVID. Like Biden also said inaccurate things, like he said inaccurate things at times.
His press secretary.
Yeah. And I'm like, so anybody that says something that's inaccurate, like period, should be fact checked and corrected, especially if this is a, you're talking about a government official, a public official, not just like a YouTuber or whatever. And even them, if they've got a big enough audience, like say, like print something, put something out to correct them. But like it was incensing to see people not fact check Biden, or not like point, and not say anything about that, where they're like, oh, Trump said all this stuff. Like, but it's not okay for anybody to say, like, and it doesn't matter if it's malicious or not, if they said something inaccurate, like you correct it, and you're like, hey, this is not right.
People are going to say stuff on the fly and be wrong sometimes. I've probably done it 100 times already just in the last couple hours. But I also,
fact check us, like that's fine, it's like that's fine. And and I would rather be corrected and have the accurate information put out there. But that's also why I try to, like, if I'm speaking, I'll try to find my source or find a reference, like, because I'll often say,
not me, I just go, I heard something about this thing where they were talking about stuff, and the basic idea was this guy said some things.
I gotta find my like with that, I was like, I remember that I saw it, and I'm like, gotta find the source. I gotta find it, if I'm gonna like present it to some. But that's probably the trained journalist in me, and being an editor, where it's like, oh, we gotta, anytime we say something, you gotta find the source. So when I talk to people too, if I've read an article, if I've seen a study, I'm like, hold on, let me find it for you. Let me get you my source.
I'm more. I hate research, but what I do research is, if I really want to know why someone said something, I have this tick where if somebody says something, even if it's insane, like, did you know that whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, if that's why I've subscribed to all those right wing YouTube channels, is because I'm aware that the left gets things wrong sometimes, and I would not have known that if I didn't see an article. It was probably a video with Tim Pool or something, and where he said, look, this is the actual video. And so then from there, I go and find the actual video, not his version, because I don't know what he's done to it. You never know. So you go find the original video, and then I watched the whole stupid thing. This took like 2 hours, and all I got was, I now know. But if I didn't watch all those right-wing things and get all that perspective, I'd be right over there too going, I can't believe he said that. You know, he said there were good people on both sides. The end. And there's a lot of people on the left that have huge YouTube programs that say that. TYT says it. Jimmy Dore says it. Well, he used to before he stopped talking about Trump. Kyle Kalinske has said it. It really, and I just want to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Everything else you've said has been awesome. Please stop saying that.
Yeah, you're right. Like, just do your due diligence, and make sure that if you're quoting something, it is accurate, or that you're fact checking.
Or if somebody says you didn't, go check.
Yeah. But I think, like, I have noticed that so much more on the left, where it's like, oh, we're not going to correct it. I'm like, no, especially with the, these, commentators or journalists or media, it's like, no, you have to, like, there's no such thing as teams, like, especially if you're saying, like, I'm a journalist, I'm, a commentator who's also an activist, it's like, you have to hold the powerful accountable, whether they're, you might be in line with some of their views or policies or not. It doesn't matter, like, still paint an accurate picture, still fact check them.
Oh yeah, that just happened with Afghanistan, with the right. Trump said something like Biden really screwed up that exit in Afghanistan, but then and he talks about how it was all done wrong, but then there's video of Trump saying he wanted to get them out of Afghanistan sooner and quicker. So does he know there's video out there, like, of him saying? But see, that's the thing is, when you're in an echo chamber, all you do is listen to what's happening right now, and you'd have to remember that he said that back then. You're not going to go and check your leader, and that's what people at the left do too. They don't check Biden, or they see that he did something wrong, but they just go, just moving on.
That actually is what I've seen more of, is like, they will see it and, he didn't mean anything by it, and you're like, I mean, maybe not, maybe someone didn't mean, but that doesn't matter, right? Like, you still check it.
Yeah, we're not trying to crucify anyone. What we're trying to do is get the truth. So if he makes a mistake, let's fact check it. He's a big boy. He can go, oh yeah, I misspoke, and we move on with everybody knowing what's really going on. That seems better to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, that also used to be like what journalism was, right? Holding the powerful accountable, and, like, saying the things that.
Was there actually a time when that happened?
Yeah. I mean, well, there are still there. I think there have always been independent, people. And I think like, certainly before the, like, corporate capture, so I mean, maybe like, probably like 60s, 70s, even like beyond, right? Like, before,
like, around the time that the pay started plateauing.
Yes, I feel like there's a correlation there, but there are still, like, good independent journalists. It's just like, if you work at a major media company, like, you just, there's a line, like, because there are advertisers, and so it's like that kind of unspoken thing, and people do push back, like, people push as hard as they can, in some cases, not everybody, but some people do. But yeah, there is that line, because you've got those advertisers.
I love when John Oliver dumps on AT&T. He says the worst things about AT&T, and they're not subtle. They're funny only because they're uncomfortable, because AT&T owns HBO. So he'll say the worst things about their cell service and how they rip people off. Like, it's not there. He's not saying little goofy things. He's saying things that I actually believe and have experienced that are really, and he'll say, like, really horrifying things. And then he'll, like, look at the camera and just go, you like that? You like that, corporate daddy? Corporate daddy?
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, is there another person on the planet doing that? I mean, why is he not? Because it's not like AT&T can go, he's just kidding, nobody cares. We know he's telling the truth, and he's being dead serious about the things he's saying, and they're not subtle. Like, I don't know. I find that very entertaining, and I don't understand. Maybe AT&T's like, no one cares, and he's getting good ratings. Jump on us all you want.
Honestly, yeah, I would have to say that that's the calculation, because they're always going to make a calculation, right? They're like, yeah, he's making a large profit margin, and him saying these things is not affecting the bottom line. So,
Did we see a dip after Sunday night? No. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, that's probably.
I guess if all of a sudden they lost a bunch of memberships, like right after a show, they might give him a call. Hello, John. All right. Well, we've been on for like 2 hours. I know it's early for you, but it's 11:10 here.
Yeah, 2 hours is good to wrap.
Yeah.
This was a good stream.
Yeah, it was fun. It's what I've always said. I thought that our conversations should just be streamed, and I have a bunch of stuff that I can probably edit into something for the channel. There were like little tidbits there that I could probably do something with, which will be fun.
Yeah, we covered a lot of topics. Like it was fun.
I like just going. That's kind of like what a conversation is. And we started with a beginning. So it would be kind of cool if if we want to, we can say there are 3 things I'd really like to hit on. Okay, just bring them up.
Yeah, I think that's a good format. Like at least have like a few starting points, and then we just kind of go from there. And I like to pull up my sources, so I like to be able to sit here and find it.
I really want to work on getting it so I can use my OBS software, and so both of us can see anything. So I can have things set up so if you say Twitter, I could just click a button and Twitter will pop up and we can both see it. And I think I know how to do that now. I think I link OBS into Zoom, and then I get a little bit lost after that because then I don't have anything to stream Zoom out of. I don't know. We need an engineer. Lindsay needs to help.
Yeah,
like it makes everything easier.
The 3 of us split that thing, right? That that tool,
and she wants to do it too.
Yeah,
and she was great at it. And I love the way her voice chimes in every once in a while too.
Yeah, she can be the one that. Can you pull that up? Look,
I like Jamie on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, like Jamie or somebody like
just off camera.
Cue that up for us.
Oh my God! Did you watch any of that Joe Rogan, Steven Crowder video?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God! You have to watch that. It's so.
Was Joe that Rogan, one that you sent me?
It could be. I sent too many things to people, and to each person gets way too many things, so they start just going, "Oh, he sent me things again." But basically, Steven Crowder is super right wing, and he goes on Joe Rogan, who's, I would say, center left, but depending on the topic, if you start talking about guns, then he's super right, or not super, maybe center right. But anyway, Steven Crowder starts talking about all kinds of stuff like gun laws, and he brings up marijuana, and Steven Crowder's against legalization of marijuana, which is like it's like the worst thing you can say to Joe Rogan.
All right, maybe I will have to.
So he just has Jamie start bringing up article after article and after article. And he just incinerates Steven Crowder. It's just like right there, so much so that Steven just starts going, "You guys are ganging up on me. I wish I had somebody to bring up, things to back up what I'm saying." And Joe's like, "Jamie will bring up anything you want. Go ahead, tell him what you want. He'll bring up anything you want. He's not against you. He's just bringing up. You say something crazy like, he said something like, vehicle accidents have gone up since Colorado made marijuana illegal," and Joe Rogan's like, "What? Jamie, look that up," and then they pull up all these articles and all these reports, and it says about how it's actually gone down, And he's like, so just say you're wrong. It's not true. And he's like, well, you bring up that, but my article says this. It's like, what article is that? And he's like, it's brilliant. I just loved it. I loved it because Joe's not trying to be mean to anyone. He just actually wants the truth to be told if it's in question. He often says things that he doesn't question, like all of a sudden he'll just say, you know what, no one needs to wear a mask, and vaccines maybe not.
Yeah.
But if
like,
somebody were on the show
questionable takes.
yeah, but if someone were on the show that said, actually, Joe, you're wrong about that, he'd be like, I am? And then he would look it up. But if he has someone on there to just just parrot it back to him, he might just keep going. And that's what I think a lot of people give him a bad rap for when he says stuff like that. He genuinely is wants to know the truth. I don't think he's ever like, I'm probably wrong, but I don't care. If he thinks he's wrong, he's going to try and figure it out live right there, I've noticed. But sometimes you think you're right and you keep going. And sometimes you don't.
Yeah, I have like mixed, like there's some things that I like about him, and and are we still streaming right now?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's some things
I can say goodbye though if you want.
So, I mean, we can just, I guess, finish we'll go on a whole nother tangent. Maybe we'll save this for another time.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will end the stream there. And I'll do my closings on the videos because right now there's no one. So there was, but there's not now. So that's it. I will